All right. Good to see everybody. What a day. What a day. What a day. Exciting day. Pete Carroll, new head coach of the Silver and Black. All right. What a Friday. All right. We ready to roll, Bobby? Let's do this. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It's the JT the Brick Show, broadcasting live from the Finley Cadillac Performance Studio.
Raiders bring a blitz. He takes it off the middle, and he's wrapped up from behind. Max Crosby.
Your Silver and Black home to sound off for over 25 years.
Open at the 35, racing to the 20, 10, touchdown Raiders.
And now, here's JT.
Yes, we're out of the gate, JT, on an historic day today. Whenever there's a new head coach of the Silver and Black, we get excited, and we should be. Pete Carroll is the new head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. We are thrilled about this for obvious reasons. Pete's a legend. Pete Carroll comes in, and Raider Nation unite. This has got to be a great Friday for everybody. Raider Nation unite! You got Pete Carroll. We love all the coaches. Pete Carroll's a special one. This is a coach with a legendary career, college and pro, Hall of Famer eventually, no doubt already for college, will be, I think, in Canton, Ohio someday. And he's got unfinished business because as everybody talks about, 73 years old, where's he at in his career life? Well, he's coming in for a grind. He's coming in to kick ass. He's coming in to take over the Raiders as head coach and take this team to where it always needs to be, at the top of the NFL, winning championships. The greatness of the Raiders is in its future. And now the Raiders have a veteran coach with a proud success story behind him, willing to do it again, willing to come to Vegas, outwork everybody, tremendous enthusiasm, great game day coach, completely dialed in, a guy who's so amazing from what I'm hearing in regards to how he puts a game plan together, practice, runs an organization. Now with John Spytek, who's coming in also, so we welcomed him. Everybody should be excited about this pairing. It's a pretty special pairing. So congratulations to Mark Davis, Tom Brady, the other new minority owners for getting this deal done. I think everyone throughout Raider Nation should be pretty good with this. There has been a lot of complaining about the coaches around here for years. A lot of complaining from people that just had problems with everything. You love a coach one day, starts losing, you don't. You shouldn't have a problem with this one. All right? Sound off like you got a pair. You got a guy who has proven to beat Andy Reid, Jim Harbaugh, Sean Payton, and the rest of this league. And that's what you need. We talked about this last week. I want to give Vinny Bonson your credit. Vinny was here in studio with me for about the last half hour. Vinny was the first one to put this on the radar with Raider Nation about the potential for Pete Carroll and the fit. And looking into this and what he can do now with the way the organization is structured moving forward, it seems like this is the head man on the field and a guy who's going to walk through that building and energize the building. Not that the other coaches didn't, but this is next level. Pete Carroll is different. He's intense, he's a winner, and he expects greatness. And I'm really excited about it because I've been doing this a long time. And coaches come and go, and we wish them all well. And some are more successful than others. But this guy is super successful. He has a legacy already. And imagine what this challenge must be like for him as he comes in now with an opportunity to really put an exclamation point on a Hall of Fame career, if it all works out. We're not here to talk about how many years, how long is he going to be here. We're going to take this thing one great Raider day at a time. and hopefully have a lot of fun with it. And that's what it should be about today. I think Raider fans should be welcoming Pete Carroll. We got a bunch of guests lined up. Dave Softy Mahler up at KJR in Seattle has covered Pete Carroll's entire career better than anyone. He's joining me exclusively on this. He will give you everything you need to know about Pete Carroll as a coach, everything about him in the community, what he's going to do. Speaking of Pete in the community, he's done a lot in his life. He's done a tremendous amount in his life in regards to community service and helping others and just a leader. And the Raiders get a leader of men to come on in here now and hopefully do great things. This hire was made to win a Super Bowl. Okay, and if you're looking at the team right now in the roster, take a breath. But this hire was made, Spytek and Carroll, to win a Super Bowl and to constantly go to the playoffs and build a roster and have the energy of a roster going forward that can make a difference every week of the season. Be one of those teams when they come out of the tunnel and Pete leads the way. You know you got a winner, a proven track record, a coach who's won championships, big ones in college, 2 Super Bowl appearances, 1 Super Bowl. And man, I have his bio here in front of me, and it is pretty extensive. I mean, it is pretty extensive where Pete Carroll has been throughout his life as an assistant, as a head coach, all the moves that he's made throughout his career, going through it before the show, Pacific as a graduate assistant in 1973 through 76, and then he made a bold move. He went to Arkansas in 1977 as a grad assistant. Iowa State, secondary coordinator. The Ohio State in 1979, secondary coordinator. North Carolina State, defensive coordinator, 80 to 82. Back to Pacific in 83 as the D coordinator. Then he made his run to the NFL. Buffalo Bills, 1984, defensive back coach. Minnesota Vikings, 85 through 89, defensive back coach. New York Jets, defensive coordinator, 90 to 93, head coach of the Jets in 94. Defensive coordinator for the 49ers, 95-96, head coach of the Patriots, 97 through 99. USC, 2001 through 2009, head coach with a winning record of 97-19. Then he went to the Seattle Seahawks from 2010 through 23, head coach. His record was 137 wins, 89 losses, and a tie. And as an executive, vice president of football operations, and he was an advisor recently to the Seahawks and a Super Bowl champion. Wow. You won't see many resumes like that, ever. That resume is thick. It's legit. And now Pete Carroll comes in. You want to jump on our YouTube channel, watch the show live. We should be fast-paced. You know, Bobby and I on Fridays, we don't put our feet up, but we've been known to look ahead for the bucket of Modelo's and get ready for the weekend. I am ready to go. And last night was interesting because my phone, I went out to dinner at the Cosmo, had some friends in town are in here. We're going to the Eagles tonight at Sphere. And my phone started blowing up at dinner, and my wife's like, what's going on? I'm like, well, big things are happening here. A lot of people were worried about Spytek because Leon Cohen was going to Jacksonville. I'm like, what are you talking about? And then I couldn't put down my phone. I had 16 voicemails. People, what's going on? And then hearing the Pete Carroll, it's real. And then waking up this morning, seeing it's a done deal. And it's great. And the Raiders, remember, when I say a done deal, the Raiders put everything out. So when the Raiders put everything out and they make it and they announce when the press conference will be, we'll be right there for that. But I'm excited. You know, I liked Antonio Pierce a lot and Tom Telesco. You know me, I wear my emotions on my sleeve. Those are good guys who really busted their backs to get the Raiders to be great. They ran into some headwind with injuries and what happened here, and we wish them well. Both unbelievable guys who gave everything they had for the Raiders. Now Tom Brady comes in with new ownership, and they're going to do it differently. And everybody needs to be on board. It's not hard to get on this train. Do not be let off. Do not miss the train. Do not jump off the train. This is a day of celebration in the Raider Nation. You got something big. You got something big. Embrace it. Enjoy it. Celebrate it. It's time to change, man. Time to get this thing going. You want to win. This guy's won wherever he's gone, and he wins pretty quickly. So he'll go through his timeline and what he's going to do. But you can tell it's completely unique now. I don't want to say different, but very unique. to bring in people that haven't been in the organization, who want to be here, who are focused to win. Every coach who gets a job tells you they want to win. This guy's different. He has won. And as I told you last week 100 times, if I said it once, that this guy's going to walk on the field in warm-ups and walk right up to Andy Reid, knowing he beat him multiple times. Sean Payton, Harbaugh especially, multiple times. As a Raider fan in the upper deck or down in the Winfield Club, you'll be confident that the team is prepared, well coached, and ready to go out and win. And now I'm excited to see what Spytek and Carroll can do with this roster, right? The roster is going to be really unique. And who do they decide to keep? There's a lot of money to spend. There's draft equity. What are they going to do? I would hope they get a quarterback, because Pete Carroll's good with young quarterbacks. And I'm sure he's going to want to have a young quarterback on that roster. Aiden O'Connell's already there. I've been texting back and forth with Max Crosby. You know, there's leaders in that locker room. There's leaders that need to be re-signed. And I'm sure there's a lot of players around the league, from Tampa to Seattle to all points in between, that want to play for Pete Carroll and John Spytek. So let's get it going today. Let's hear it from you. Paul Gutierrez is going to join us in 5 minutes. The ESPN Raiders insider, 702-365-9200. And again, is every hire perfect? No, this is close to freaking perfect. Yeah. All right? This is pretty close to perfect. So let it breathe, enjoy it, and let's get some fans who really want to welcome Pete Carroll in, like we do on this show. Okay, we've been doing this longer than anybody. We've welcomed more coaches. Hopefully we're not welcoming any more. This one's going to be here a while, and Pete Carroll's got the energy of a 40-year-old coming in here. Everybody's going to talk about his age, and he's at 73. He's going to be 74 when the season starts and all that. Let him worry about that. I have a feeling Pete is going to be drinking from the fountain of youth over there in Henderson, outworking everyone, first one in, last to leave. And I'm excited. I'm excited that this is a big-time hire. Now, Ben Johnson could have been a great hire. A young offensive coordinator, really bold offensive skill set. It didn't happen. Pete Carroll was a high choice, a very high choice of Mark Davis, and Mark has a lot of respect for him. And I'm sure Pete's got a lot of respect for Mark because of Mr. Davis and Carol Davis, Mrs. Davis. So the Davis family went out here, excuse me, need a little water there, thank you, and they're ready to roll. And this whole thing went to Allegiant Stadium. I mean, can you imagine Pete Carroll at Allegiant Stadium coming out of the tunnel, ready to go with all the just pomp and circumstance and the jumbo boards and the videos going off? New videos, everybody. Let's go, Pete Carroll. So I want to hear from some old school Raider Nation, some young school Raider Nation. I want to hear from a number of fans today on what this hire means to you. Your honest opinion. You know, your honest opinion on this. I want to hear this because I think this is a great day. For a Friday, I am fired up on a Friday as always. Bumpy and Visalia, go ahead, start us off.
Raider Nation, what's your name? Okay, Craig, where you calling from? Hold on.
Yeah, you should be, Bumpy. Appreciate the call. Thanks a lot. I think he's going to come in and really have a new structure and a style, and it'll be different. The way the team practices, the way they work out, the way they travel. Everything's going to change with Tom Brady and Pete Carroll and John Spytek and everybody. I have no idea what those changes are going to be, but no doubt there's going to be legitimately a changing of the guard with a bunch of successful winners, from Tom Brady and his Super Bowls to Pete Carroll, his Super Bowls, his college national championships, what John Spytek brings in with his ability to draft and build the foundation of the football side of the building with his vision. Can't wait to interview them both. And here's what they have to say on this. But this is going to be big because I think Pete realizes there's some players on this roster who need to win now. such as Max Crosby. You don't hire Pete Carroll. I saw a lot of things today on SportsCenter and other shows where they're saying, well, they can tear this down and start up with Pete. They're not going to tear anything down. They got good players. Robert Spillane, Max Crosby, Colton Miller, Brock Bowers, Jacoby Myers, Daniel Carlson, A.J. Cole. You look at the foundational pieces of this team and this roster, getting back Christian Wilkins completely healthy. Hopefully Kuntz comes back on a deal. If you look at the roster and what has to happen, something special could happen in the next couple of months. If the Raiders nail the draft, they have to nail the draft. They have to nail the draft. And then on top of that, we've got to see greatness when it comes to the decisions of the head coach during a game and how he's going to step on the throat of the opponent and stay aggressive in this game. So I don't know what Pete's doing in regards to building his staff. No idea. A couple of people have asked me, is this coach going to be back with that? No idea. Pete's going to decide that in the building with Mark Davis and the ownership group, whatever direction they go in with John Spytek to try to build this thing up big. But I would assume they're going to hire some really good coaches because of the connections that John Spytek has, but especially the connections of Pete Carroll. Paul Gutierrez joins us from ESPN. Paul, interesting day today. In the last 24 hours around the league, what was going on with Jacksonville, the void in Dallas, Aaron Glenn to the Jets, and the Raiders get a big-time name in Pete Carroll. How do you see it?
I love it from every perspective. For no other reason than this, that he brings an instant credibility. He brings a kind of a, he's an adult in the room, so to speak, not to take a shot at anybody else, but there's just this credibility, this accountability that comes with the Pete Carroll. And beyond that, there's an energy that kind of just surrounds him wherever he goes, a positive energy. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure I sent you a text last night with the gif of Pete Carroll kind of smiling from behind the corner. He's a guy that I was told as he walked through the facility when he was there for his in-person interview, there was kind of like this light radiating from him, and he was just kind of bubbly and bouncing off the walls, and there was this energy that really kind of permeated everybody that came in contact with him. Now, does that translate into wins? Not necessarily, but it's definitely a step in the right direction for a team that, again, is just looking for some professionalism, looking for something to hang its hat on. And Pete Carroll, you know exactly what you're getting as opposed to a lot of the other candidates that were out there.
Yeah, he's a big-time name. And, Paul, you know his track record in the NFL, let alone USC, a culture builder and obviously a great game day coach. And for everybody who was wondering about the AFC West and having a coach with experience or a young coach, and we all probably figured they took a big swing at Ben Johnson to try to get him at one point, and they wanted to get Pete Carroll. They had to make a decision on who the coach was going to be. How do you think Pete handled this all? Because he's going to talk about it at a press conference when they announce it here. But the fact that he sat out, he was an advisor to the Seahawks. That meant he was still involved with the league, watching the league, involved with that organization. And I don't think he misses a beat. I think he comes in here, and the big goal is to get a good staff together because there's some good coaches out there and other coaches on other teams that I'm sure Pete Carroll wants to hire.
Well, not only that, but he comes in rejuvenated too, right? And there's going to be, there's going to be a lot nationally and within the walls of Raider Nation. Well, he's 73 years old. He's going to be 74 before the first month of the season is over. Yeah, but it's a young 74. And I know we could say that till we're blue in the face, but he's probably got more energy than you and I together, right? So that's part of it. The other part of it is, you're right. As a defensive-minded coach, you would assume I don't know if he's going to be the play caller per se for the defense, but that's going to be where he's going to make his bacon. So hiring a high-profile defensive coordinator is probably not on the high list there. But the other thing is, who's going to call the offense? Is it somebody like a Bevel that he had in Seattle? Is it somebody like a name familiar to all of us, a Greg Olson, who could potentially come in and work with the team? And who's the quarterback? So whoever that offensive coordinator is, that's going to tell you the style of offense they're going to go, whether it's a quarterback-driven team, a running back-driven draft. There's a lot of things that remain to be seen, but the first step is, now that you've got a GM, at least in agreement, a first-time GM, and that was the other part of this too, JT, that we have been talking about behind the scenes, is if the Raiders are going to go with the first-time GM, you would expect a veteran coach, because Mark Davis is on the record as saying he doesn't like the idea of pairing first-time GMs with first-time head coaches. It didn't work out with Reggie McKenzie and Dennis Allen, granted, over a decade ago.
Right.
But once he saw that kind of agreement with a first-time GM, okay, that's where all of my energy went to. Okay, well, who's out there veteran-wise? Pete Carroll just made all the sense in the world to me.
Paul Gutierrez, as we wrap it up from ESPN, busy day to get him on. What about roster development? Because I know you do a deep dive on the roster every offseason, and this offseason is going to be long for the Raiders. We got the Super Bowl in a couple of weeks here. But when Spytek and Carroll look at this roster, and there's a lot of players that need to be signed, there's a lot of money available. Normally when new coaches come in, they think of players differently than the former regime. You think there's going to be big turnover, or should we expect a lot of names to be back here?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of decisions to be made one way or the other that they're going to be made for them on the defensive side of the ball. When you have so many free agents on that side of the ball, from the defensive ends and Kuntz and Chason to both linebackers, Spillane and Diablo, Nate Hobbs at slot cornerback, to both safeties in Epps and Merrick. Those are the primary decisions they got to make on the defensive side of the ball. Offensively, obviously, it all comes back to the most important position in team sports. Quarterback. What do you do there? You got the number 6 overall pick, and you got over $108 million in salary cap space. That's where you begin, and that's where the analysis really starts for the new GM and the new head coach.
Finally, Paul, Mark Davis and Tom Brady, as you explore what this relationship is like with the other minority owners, what can you take away from what we've seen over the last week or so in regards to the GM and now the head coach and how they're working together upstairs?
Well, it's obvious that it's a more streamlined process than in years past, and there's a nod to history. There's a nod to the knowing of what Pete Carroll brings, but there's also a hunger and a desire to keep moving forward, to press forward with a GM with a fresh appeal, a fresh aspect, a fresh perspective on things. So there's kind of a hand-in-hand approach to this thing in a more streamlined approach. So it's funny, like and I've written this, a conspiracy theory is that maybe Tom Brady had more of a hand in the GM and Mark Davis had more of a hand in the coaching search. I'm not really buying into that, because at the end of the day, this is always going to come down to Mark Davis signing off on whatever, whenever. He is the managing general partner of the organization, and he will be until he no longer is. So it's definitely a different process. But again, just from a personal perspective, I love the fact that Pete Carroll is bringing his unique brand of energy to the Raiders, which definitely need a kickstart, especially in this division. You look at this division up and down with the quarterbacks that are there, especially with these coaches. You got Hall of Fame coaches up and down. Add another one with Pete Carroll.
Absolutely. Paul, have a great week, and I know you're busy. Thanks for a few minutes.
You too. Take care, Jason.
All right, Paul Gutierrez from ESPN. Nice to have him on today. As he says, you have a potential Hall of Fame coach. Again, Bill Cowher's in with 1. Tony Dungy's in with 1. Took Coach Flores forever to get in with 2. Right? Pete Carroll, I believe, is a Hall of Fame coach. And maybe this is what puts him over the top in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He's been to 2 Super Bowls, won a lot of playoff games. He puts his teams in the playoffs, which is really important. Putting your team in the playoffs and having an opportunity just to get in. And I think that's the future of the Raiders. Got to get the roster going. There's some good players here. Got to get a quarterback. Got the GM, you got the head coach. Good day to celebrate if you're a Raider fan. Orlando in the OC. What's going on, Orlando? What's happening?
Hey, JT, I just got something to say for the Raider Nation. Hey, man, everybody's upset about Ben Johnson. Forget about Ben Johnson, man. You know what? Everybody get behind Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll has won everywhere he's gone. We need a winner in the Raiders. We need somebody that can build it. Even though, Pete Carroll's age, don't worry about that, man. Everybody get behind Pete Carroll, just like everybody got behind the past coach. This coach, he needs all of us. Forget about Ben Johnson and keep moving forward. That's all I got to say, JT. Have a good one.
Yeah, and it'd be nice if everybody got behind it. I'm not here to tell you how to be a fan. You do whatever you want. I mean, there's some fans that are loud and boisterous, and other fans that are negative, other fans that are always super positive. I don't know where you stand unless I meet you. But it should be pretty easy for everybody to get behind this. This is not a hard, like if you're a Raider fan and you got your colors on today and you're going to a sports bar tonight, you should be pretty happy if you see another Raider fan and have a Modelo with them and kick back and say, this is a hell of a day. This is a coach that has no flaws. He doesn't have any flaws. Everything he's done, he's proven to do at a great level. You win, you lose. Pete Carroll's won more than he lost. And he knows how to run an organization. He knows how to run it as a head football coach. He understands how to work with people in a building. So I think it's going to be really nice. And everybody else got along pretty good before Pete Carroll and John Spytek and tried to lead the Raiders to victory. This is the new group that gets to do it. You got a young GM coming from a program in Tampa Bay where they drafted well and they spent money in free agency and they figured out the quarterback. right? They had to go get Tom Brady. I remember no one thought Tom Brady was going to Tampa. That would have been one of my bottom 3 choices when he went. And he went and it made sense. They built the roster around him quickly with really good players in the draft. They drafted great around Brady. And then they did an unbelievable job in free agency and giving Brady what he needed to win. And that's what's going to happen. I'd love to say that we're a 1 draft class away and 1 free agency away. I don't think we are, but I think it's close. I think with the players that I'm assuming are coming back, which aren't a lot, but I'm assuming the ones who are coming back, plus 4 to 5 new free agents that are going to cost money, and they got to be value plays. And then the draft, where I think, John Spytek's going to have an opportunity to do some big things in the draft, whatever he wants to do. Trade up, trade back, best available. But I think getting the quarterback is going to be really important, and we'll talk to him about that. Stevie G is in Oakland, California. There you go. What's happening?
Feeling good. Got the staff. We got you just collecting the brain trust together. They're there, and now we're going to see how this is going to play out. We'll see what they're going to do when they review the roster, when they go through free agency, when they go through the draft. The philosophy is coalescing. Mm-hmm. They got it all going on, and I think this is kind of what I believe Mark Davis wanted, which is that, again, I think he said it when he, unfortunately, when his father passed away, I know what I don't know. Mm-hmm. So I don't think he's ever wanted to be right there in the middle of things. I think he wanted to get the people in place who know what they're doing and he'll back away and let them do their jobs. And that's what he's given every group. Do your job. It just hasn't always worked out.
Yeah.
But now this new group is here. We're going to see how they're going to attack. And I feel good about it. It feels good. I love it. Again, I said this before. I love the defensive perspective. And I actually think that he might be attracting. Again, this isn't just a new guy out there. This is Pete Carroll. He's going to be attractive to Crosby. He's going to be attractive to a lot of the potential free agents out there. That, hey, this is how I'm going to get better. This is how I'm going to, and that's what the athletes want to know. That's what they want to do. So I'm happy. I'm good for it. I'm going to listen to the rest of the day and enjoy it.
Good. Thank you for the call. Appreciate you checking in. I think that gentleman speaks for a lot of fans here. They got smart guys in place. Now they got to go win. Same thing. And what he said about Mark Davis is very accurate. Mark wants to build a group in there that really can do great things in football operations. The whole entire organization, everyone in the building is energized because we know the track record of Pete Carroll. And John Spytek, we're going to learn about it. He's going to build this track record as a first-time GM. I'm assuming he's thrilled to have this opportunity to start his career as a GM and have a future Hall of Famer as a head coach. That, to me, is unbelievable. Monologue brought to you by PT's, best happy hour in town, 5 to 7, midnight to 2 a.m. Great place to watch the Golden Knights is at all the PTs. 70 tavern locations in town, and they own the Strat and Arizona Charlie's, and the properties look much better than the last time you went. So go check it out here. Dave Softy Mahler was going to join us in about a half hour. You don't want to miss this interview. He knows Pete Carroll as good as anybody. Yeah, the throat almost went out there in the monologue. Wow, we're good. All right, everybody good here? Yeah, hit that like button if you can, as Raider D says. Crush the like button, please.
Okay, Raider G, you'll lead off in about 4 minutes, okay? Sal, you're number 2 after the commercial. Hang on.
Promoting Tailgate, weekdays at 7 a.m. on Raider Nation Radio, 9:20 a.m.
Every now and again, life throws a flag on the play, and you will need the services of an outstanding promoter like our winning team at the Vegas Warriors.
All right, thank you.
And I caught passionate.
Oh, you did?
Yes, I did.
How'd you do that?
It's simple. He called himself Chan in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, cool. I pick up the phone 2 minutes later. Hey, passionate, you ready? He's like, yeah.
Passionate Raider. All he needs to do is apologize. Apologize. I apologize 5 times a day.
You want me to play that Rappaport coming back?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, we got the agency all set with that.
Yeah. All right, how we doing here, man? Keith says went to his first game in 62 with my dad at Frank Yule Field. It's been tough to stick with my team over the last 20 years. It's not hard to stick with your team ever. It's tough when they lose and it sucks, but it's not hard to stick with your team. Yes, get that cigar ready. Yeah, Bobby Slowick got let go today. He's definitely a name that could be out there. There's Russell Wilson coming in. I don't know what the relationship is with Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson. I have no idea.
I've heard that tossed around at least 3 times.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's tossing it around. No one knows that answer. I can tell you that other than Pete Carroll. Pete's got a lot of energy and positivity. Yes, we should all have energy and positivity. Yep. Pete can compete. Yes. Yes. Oh. Let's take him first.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Take Raider 66. He's a kind of an historian.
Hold on, okay?
I don't know what's going to happen with the DC. We had a really good one in Patrick Graham. It's a good coach. He was a finalist for Jacksonville. That tells you everything you need to know. Nice crowd today, yeah. 486 people in here. That's nice. It's a nice number. I'm happy I was here today, man. I was looking to take a little bit of time off at some point, go see some friends and do some things, and happy I didn't take off Friday today, man. I didn't want to miss this. No way. See what's going on Twitter. You know. Look, you don't have to love the hire. I just don't think you can dislike it. You don't have to love it, but you got to feel pretty good about it, considering what could have been. If these coaches started landing in other spots, no Ben Johnson, you don't get no Pete Carroll. If someone hires Pete, what will we be talking about today? All right, Bob.
The Rappaport.
Okay.
PT's, the best happy hour in town, 5 to 7 p.m. and midnight to 2 a.m.
Breaking news for the Las Vegas Raiders, and this is a wild one. Sources tell me and colleague Tom Pelissero that the Raiders have now agreed to terms with their new head coach, and it's Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll, the new head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. The deal is now expected to be finalized. He has been no doubt a target for some time, but the Super Bowl winning head coach, formerly of the Seattle Seahawks, was out this year, and despite being 73 years old, 74 years old by kickoff, has wanted to be back in, and now he is officially in. No one is better at fixing a culture than Pete Carroll, including for the Las Vegas Raiders and new general manager John Spytek. They know they have issues in the building that need to be fixed, issues on the roster that need to be fixed. They need a quarterback. No one is better at fixing it and setting it up than Pete Carroll. Might it be short-term? It's possible. But whatever it is, Pete Carroll is the now answer for the Las Vegas Raiders, their new head coach.
Ian Rappaport, NFL Network, having the story there. Going to the Eagles tonight at Sphere. Can't wait. I've seen them 10-plus times at the MGM, where they played like a residency there, it seemed like. But tonight at Sphere, it should be great. Got some friends in town. Looking forward to that. And then a great weekend here. A little bit of radio on Saturday, Sunday, and then we are back on Monday. And I'm sure we got a big week on all the Raider platforms coming up. When they tell me, I'll tell you about the press conference, the live streams, what we'll be doing with Raiders Rundown and all that. And I appreciate being included in that and having this show to talk about it. Hey, doing what I do for a living, today's a good day. I always come in here, I'm trying to be passionate and fired up and want the team to win, but this was a rough ride. Rough ride this last season because the fans were hurting. because of the 10-game losing streak and a lot that was happening. So with Pete Carroll, he's going to fix that. He has to. He was hired to win, not to be competitive. This is a bold move to be great. And Pete Carroll's been great before. He's been great his adult life. This is a winner. And the Raiders have a winner as a head coach here. And the other coaches who tried, I always tip my cap to them. They came in the same way. They treated us well. They loved the fans. They wanted to win. And now Pete Carroll gets a shot. Raiders 66. Good to hear from you in Vegas. How are you, my friend?
Hey, good afternoon, JT. What a great day for the Raiders, I tell you. You know, you're going to see a great show tonight with the Eagles, and the Raiders this coming season should be a great show as well. Pete Carroll was a home run. I mean, basically, as soon as I heard Vinny give his name out back in early part of this month, I'm like, that's the guy I wanted. I mean, he is a culture builder. He's a team builder, and he can go and look these other three head coaches in our division eye to eye, toe to toe, go with them. He's already coached against them in his career. I mean, I looked it up a little bit really quickly, and against Harbaugh, he was 5-4. And that includes a win in the NFC Championship game in 2013, I think it was. Against Andy Reid, he was 1-0 against him in Philadelphia and 1-2 in Kansas City. Didn't do as well against Sean Payton. He was 1-5 against Payton, but that makes him 8-11. But of those 11 losses, there's at least 7 that were one-score games.
Ooh.
So you could flip those real easily. He could be 15-4. I mean, so he'll go head to head with these guys. And the other thing that you need to know is that he didn't want to leave Seattle. So we're getting a motivated coach that has won a Super Bowl that has a chip on his shoulder. What better thing can you ask for than that? And I don't think, like some people say, oh, it's going to be a couple-year building. No, I think he's going to come in. We have people that are talented on this team. If we can get some of those key free agents signed from the defensive side, have a good draft. We got a great draft position, number 6. We're number 6 in every round. We can do this turnaround really quickly. And I think this would be the year. If you're going to draft a quarterback, this might be the year to get one, because I'm looking for us drafting in the 20s and beyond from here on. I mean, I'm looking for a big improvement. So I'm looking for a quick turnaround. Thank you, Mark and Tom and everybody getting Pete in here. Let's go to work and let's get this thing done.
Yeah,
JT.
Great job. Great call giving us Pete Carroll's record of going up against these coaches where he's beaten them. And then, some he's lost to more so, but he's competed with them and beaten them. Okay. And that's what has to happen now. And this, I don't know what the turnaround is going to be. I don't predict how many games the Raiders are going to win, but it should turn around quickly with these guys and the roster and what they can build on. Jacksonville's roster, I said, was better. The Jacksonville roster is better. But the Raiders, I think, have a better coach than Jacksonville, and the Raiders got good players. They don't have Max Crosby. But we have Brock Bowers. This is also a Brock Bowers big deal for me, too. Because Brock Bowers with Pete Carroll, can you imagine how he's going to open up Brock Bowers even more, the energy-wise, being there? And I thought Antonio Pierce really understood Brock Bowers well, really got him involved. The head coach got him involved, told everyone, get him the ball. And I'm sure Pete Carroll's going to do the same thing. Brock Bowers is going to get the football a lot. Raider G is in San Jose. Thanks for waiting. Go ahead.
Hey, JT. We just put the AFC West on notice, my brother. On notice. I called in Monday and, I got cut off because of, I had bad cell service. But I am excited, man. JT, you'll appreciate this. I'm at the NAMM conference in Anaheim for musicians and artists. And I got the word, I got a text that we brought in Pete Carroll. And I'll just say this, everybody or anybody, not everybody that's concerned about his age is energy. And you attest to that every day. I don't know how old you are. I'm not questioning your age. I'm just saying that your energy makes such a big difference. And Pete Carroll is elite. He is an elite coach. And so Ben Johnson, we didn't get Ben. I wasn't that high on him because his track record was as a offensive coordinator, like previous coaches that we have, not as a head coach. So what can you criticize about a Pete Carroll who Max Crosby's going to love because he's going to elevate the defense. He's going to elevate everybody. And I'm freaking ecstatic that we got him. I want to thank Mark Davis. I want to thank Tom Brady. I want to thank Spytech, all of them for making that decision. It was a great decision. It's a great place for Raider Nation. And for the folks that wanted somebody else other than Pete Carroll, you got to be patient and give this guy a chance because he's won every way he's been. Thank you.
Yeah,
JT.
he has
Thank
won. He has a tremendous track record. We talked about that. What can he do quickly here? He's going to talk about that at his press conference. Your timelines, normally coaches say the same thing on a timeline. They say, well, we're going to do it this way. I'm not here to predict how many wins we're going to have. We've heard that a bunch. But I would assume that Pete's going to come in and be very aggressive with John Spytek to try to turn the Raiders around because that's what Mark and Tom Brady want. And the owner, they want a winner. They don't want to wait for a winner. They want a winner. The Washington Commanders won 4 games last year. 4. And they're playing in the NFC Championship game. Now, they got a quarterback. I get it. They got a very good quarterback. Hey, quick reminder, and everybody should be on top of this, especially if you're in Vegas or you want to travel here. We got the Commitment to Excellence Award dinner, a night honoring Max Crosby. There are still tickets available. If you want to go, the event's going to be in Henderson. Okay, I'll put it out on Twitter at @JTTheBrick. So just go to my Twitter and see it. There's a phone number to call in. Max will be there. The Commitment to Excellence dinner, it's a big deal. And the Commitment to Excellence Award, it's been dormant since the Raiders came from Oakland. And they finally got it together and back up running again with the Booster Club. And we're excited. So the steering committee of the Booster Clubs of the Raiders present a Commitment to Excellence Award dinner honoring Max Crosby. I'm shooting it out right now on Twitter. Be a part of it and see if you can come here and enjoy it. It's going to be a lot of fun. That opens up a phone line for you, 702-365-9200. Jump on the phones and welcome our new GM and head coach. Here's Sal in Vegas. How are you, Sal?
JT, my man, how you doing?
I'm doing great, thanks.
Man, I'm excited, man. I mean, just listening to the last 2 callers, 66 and the last guy, it kind of took the things I wanted to say. But, I mean, as a competitive advantage, if you think about it, with the AFC West and all the coaches that we have now with Sean in Denver and, and the other guy in LA, now we got a name behind the brand. We got Pete Carroll. I mean, a proven winner, proven champion. Everywhere he's gone in success, he can, like you said at the beginning of the show, you can stand out there eye to eye with different people and see. Now they see that we have a real, not to say Antonio didn't do a good job, but we have a proven coach, a proven winner behind us. Man, there's no way as a Raider fan you can't feel good about this day and about this decision. I think it's the perfect move. I'm excited. I'm a seasoned PSL holder, so I'm pumped to get back in those seats and start cheering again and knowing that we have a proven winner behind us. I'm just super excited, man. I think it was a great choice, and I'm looking forward.
Great to hear from you. Thanks a lot, Sal. Appreciate that. I think everybody should be very optimistic and happy today about it because there was a lot of tough sledding. It was a brutal year. What happened on the field. A lot of guys got injured. They lost 10 in a row at one point. Had a really bad season, a historically bad season. Don't want to see that again. So you bring in Pete Carroll and John Spytek, the connection of Brady to Spytek going back to Michigan and in Tampa and trying to find a way where these guys can gel. They can gel together quickly and get it going. Because now, as I was talking to Vinny earlier today, Vinny's on his way to Mobile, Alabama for the Senior Bowl, and the Raiders need and scouts and who's ever going to stick around to be here, who's ever going to be let go or retained. I mean, there's a lot today. And we'll be there a bunch there next week, bringing you the in-depth here as we continue. We're brought to you by the DeCastroverde Law Group. Alendo, DeCastroverde, the brothers win. Listen, the brothers have your back. If you get into an accident, call 702-222-9999. They're season ticket holders for the Raiders. And I'm sure Alex and Orlando are thrilled today that the Raiders got Pete Carroll as their proud partners of the show. Brotherswin.com. Go check out the website. Hopefully you don't need them, but if you get into an accident, you need the have your back. All right, Dave Softy Mahler is going to join us next hour. He is a freight train of energy, and he knows Pete Carroll personally, and will tell you all about what to expect here in Raider Nation. All right, we're back in the chat. Eric Bienemy is OC, KC Raider Saint or KD. I don't know about that one. I've always liked Eric Bieniemy. I always think he needs a shot.
Raider.
As long as he ends up bringing the Kansas City playbook.
Robert. Hey, Robert.
Yeah. Thank you, Bobby. What do you want to do here?
Go home.
Same here, man. I will need a nap at some point tonight. Yes, before I go out. I had a reasonably early night last night. Reasonably. If my sons and wife are watching, reasonably. Well, I had my wife with me, so you know, we're always buttoned up. Great wife, happy life, as you know.
Katie's starting a new job today.
Nice. Doing what?
She's over at some it's like a cheerleader convention over at the Orleans, and she's like doing some brand ambassador shit.
Okay.
Yeah, whatever gets her out of the house.
All right. Thank you.
You got Saki at the top.
Yeah. No, I don't know if I got him at the top. I'm waiting to hear back. We're waiting to hear back.
All good. I'm gonna play a Russell Wilson highlight coming back.
Yep. Russell Wilson.
Yeah, now we got the quarterback, and now you got the coach and the general manager. Next logical step.
Right. I don't remember the last time I went to a mellow concert. Going to the Eagles tonight. The Eagles will rock. It'll be great. It's supposed to sound epic. But last group of concerts. Oh, and the Rolling Stones are leaking tour dates in Europe.
Oh, yeah, they're doing good.
And we are going to Europe at some point this summer, taking the boys. So better believe it. Yeah, we're gonna get the hell out of here.
What a coincidence.
And we're gonna go. You too?
Go to Europe?
No. So hopefully the Stones will be there when we're there.
I was gonna say, what a coincidence, exactly.
And I just got my room today for the Raider cruise. The Raider, yeah, we're good. We got a better room. Yes.
Right,
for those who know, when you're on a cruise ship, and I've never been on a cruise. Great JT trivia. Never been on a cruise.
Every time I hear about that, I think about Night at the Opera with Groucho Marx and that one little room they had in it.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes.
You don't.
We need to answer the quarterback position. We will. We're welcoming the head coach today. I'd like to do an Alaskan cruise. Big D, those are fun. Yes, Fabian, I'll be doing all that stuff. Yep. Yeah, I don't sing and dance during the commercials. I just kind of rest my voice and try to think about something else to talk about. Keeping my head on a swivel with Adam Schefter today. Making sure everything's cool with that. Let's see what he has to say. Is there any breaking Adam Schefter news? Bill's injury report, no big changes. Oh. I listened to my buddy Stephen A. Smith and Christopher Mad Dog Russo on Howard Stern. They're on together.
Stephen A.'s on Bill Maher tonight.
Oh, is he?
Moving into the political thing a little more, I've noticed.
Yes, he is.
All right, Russell Wilson.
Brought to you by Comisario Tequila, the official tequila of the JT the Brick Show.
30 seconds remaining. Third quarters. Wilson gets the snap. Looking now. Under duress. Will fling to his right. Find Freiermuth inside the 5. And a touchdown for Pat Freiermuth. Oh, who's better to get loose than the Freiermuth?
People trying to tie Russell Wilson to Pete Carroll, easy to tie them. Russell Wilson is a free agent. Seems really encouraged to sign in Pittsburgh, but things could change as Pete Carroll is here now. And with John Spytek, what type of quarterback are they going to look for? If you look at Spytek as the assistant GM and what was happening there, you got Tom Brady, Baker Mayfield. Do you want a veteran quarterback with this group? Do you want to break in? I think it's imperative for the Raiders to draft a quarterback. We all know that. It's imperative that they go out there and get a quarterback, but is the priority drafting a quarterback to sit and then find a free agent? A lot of news today. Houston shakes it up. Bobby Slowick is out as Texans offensive coordinator, and he didn't do a bad job there. He went from being a hot head coaching candidate to now looking for work. That's a name that's out there, according to Adam Schefter. And the Jaguars made it official as they signed head coach Liam Cohen. Becoming the head coach of Jacksonville is an opportunity of a lifetime and one that I'm going to run with to instill a championship culture and winning tradition here in Duval. So you got a new head coach there. Everybody's scratching their head about Jerry Jones. What is he doing with the Cowboys? The Jets have Aaron Glenn. Ben Johnson goes to the Bears in New Orleans. Everybody wants John Gruden, right? How much do we all want John Gruden to be in a good place? How is New Orleans not hiring John Gruden? It's perfect. It's perfect. And that has nothing to do with Carr being there because they might move on from Derek. It's just a perfect scenario for him. And not a lot of coaches left out there. We'll get you the update on Robert Saleh. Nick in Long Island. How are you, Nick? How you been?
Good, JT. How about you?
I'm real good. Pumped up.
Hire. Ben Johnson, we all wanted him, obviously, but then you look at the rest of the people they interviewed. Pete Carroll was a no-brainer. You look at his history. His bad seasons are 7 wins. What we would do for 7 wins to be a bad season for us. And everyone talks about the divisions, the coaches. He was just in a division with Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan for 8 years. In only 2 of those years did he finish worse than second place in those years. That means he was finishing ahead of Kyle Shanahan or Sean McVay in every season besides 2 out of 8. One thing you said all week, I heard you just say it before, made me pick up my phone, how the Jaguars have a better roster than the Raiders. We just beat the Jaguars a few weeks ago. Granted, they didn't have Trevor Lawrence, but I can guarantee you I'm not too familiar with the Jaguars roster. We're missing everyone at the end of the year. Max Crosby, Christian Wilkins. I mean, the players we didn't have in that game, it's incredible, and we still beat them. So to say the Jaguars have a better roster than the Raiders, I'm going to disagree with you on that one because of we beat them. Obviously, Trevor Lawrence makes $60 million a year as a quarterback because of what he did in college. He hasn't done anything in the NFL level to make anyone want to pay him $60 million. Obviously, that's a better quarterback situation than us. They do not have a better roster than us. One last thing. You just said the perfect scenario for John Gruden is New Orleans. The perfect scenario for John Gruden is to be the offensive coordinator for Pete Carroll, and then he can take over for Pete Carroll whenever that needs to be. No one's hiring Gruden, it looks like, at this point. He's going to have to try and get back into the offensive coordinator. What better place than here? And then he can take back over whenever that time comes. That would be great. Maybe the Barstool stuff gives him exposure to where he gets back into the public eye and people are okay with him getting a job. Maybe that, but at this point, I don't see Gruden getting another job. Bring him back as our offensive coordinator.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to come back as an OC. I think he's waiting to be a head coach from talking to him. So it's a dream scenario for you. I don't think that will happen, but they have to make a hire. The offensive coordinator is going to be very important here, especially going down to Mobile. You're going in a scout. The scouts got to be. There's going to be a lot of new scouts, a lot of individuals coming in. I don't know who's staying and who's leaving, but the Raiders got a lot of work to do ahead of the combine, a tremendous amount of work. De La Reda in Modesto, California. Thank you for calling. What's happening?
Hey, JT, long time, first time. I just want to welcome Pete Carroll on board. I think it was a great consolation. I definitely was a Ben Johnson advocate. I just personally think in this point in time in the NFL, it's important to have a coach who's offensive-minded, who can design and call these plays. Recently, defensive-minded coaches have not really had a great stretch of success in the league. But I'm definitely happy with Pete Carroll. But I think it's all contingent on who he hires for offensive and defensive coordinator. Like, as much fun as this today is, I'm really curious at what he's going to do with those positions. Quarterback, I have a feeling he can work with whoever he wants to bring in, whether it be Russ, trade for Geno, anything like that. I think it's a good spot to be in while we find our quarterback of the future. but I really think the sore spot is at offensive and defensive coordinator, and I think it's going to be exciting to see what he does there. Just want to give a shout out to my D-Lock brothers, D-Lock for life, Raiders.
Yeah, I think the coaching staff, as it gets played out here over the weekend, it's going to be imperative because there are several teams with new head coaches looking for the best of the best, and a lot of them are under contract. But you can get coaches away from other teams, and that's going to be really important here. Can you imagine how many coaches Pete Carroll knows? I can't even imagine how many coaches that he knows that he believes are perfect for an opportunity here. There'll be a lot of turnover with the coaches, a tremendous amount of turnover. And that's also tough for me, getting to know the coaches, getting to be in the building and meeting people over the years. And I've always said this, they all land on their feet, most of them. The majority of them, head coaches that let go or coordinators, they end up doing great in life. They're super successful. If you're a head coach in the NFL, you are the cream of the crop in your field. If it doesn't work out, you try to get another job somewhere else. We get Pete Carroll now in the Raider Nation at 73 years old, with the energy of someone in his 30s who's going to try to kick ass and take this team to greatness. Whoever the coach was going to be, I was going to say the same thing. Welcome. Let's get behind the coach. This is very easy for me to say, get behind this coach, because I always mean what I say. Always want the coaches to do well, but this guy's just different. And for him to come around and spread all of his energy within the building and the organization, I think Raider fans should be really excited about what lies ahead. Got a great crowd in YouTube. If you want to jump in, JT the Brick YT. YT's for YouTube. Got our own channel. We got a lot of people in there that want to not call in or just watch or listen to the guests. And it's a good place to be there and make some new internet friends. Dave Softy Mahler is my only guest next hour. He's going to be great. We're going to get him coming up here, plus your phone calls, and celebrate the hiring of John Spytek and Pete Carroll heading into a Raider Nation weekend.
The NFL Conference Championships to find out who will go to New Orleans starting Sunday at 11 on ESPN Radio Las Vegas. Brought to you by Finley Toyota. We're here for you.
Gambler's bonus hits again. On December 14th, Eric hit 4 8s, clearing his gambler's bonus for...
Resum uses premium chicken breast tenderloins to make the most tender chicken fingers possible. The Cane Special marinade tenderizes the chicken, locks in moisture, and adds flavor. Raising Cane's is the official chicken fingers of the Vegas Golden Knights. Order a Raising Cane's tailgate and jugs of fresh squeezed lemonade. Your favorite game day tradition. One love. Don't call it a timeout. Make the right play and score some hot, fresh, hand-battered chicken fingers from Raising Cane's. Go Knights, one love.
All the Raiders content you need is right here on Raider Nation Radio, 920 AM.
When you need legal advice, you need the brothers. You need the DeCastro-Murray Law Firm. This is JT. They're my attorneys, and they should be yours too. For personal injuries and accidents, reach out to the DeCastro-Murray Law Firm. Let their family fight for yours.
All right, I am back. What is up? What is up? Robert Saleh to the Niners. Robert Saleh goes home to the Niners. All right. I didn't book the show out today because I knew there'd be a lot of people calling in or wanting to just hear what we have to say. So we got an hour to go. Hour to go. Woo! Well, we got Robert. Anybody else there? The Robert? Okay. Appreciate it. Yeah, 1:30. 1:30 softy Mahler. Stability. Fabian likes stability as we sit next to each other at the games. Everybody's asking if I like Russell Wilson. I liked Russell Wilson a lot last year. I liked Baker Mayfield 2 years ago.
Hey, Robert, you ready?
Scotty, nice to see Raider Nation mostly united. That's a good point. I'm going to lead with that. Man, it's a busy day, huh, for football? Jeez.
It's the JT the Brick Show, broadcasting live from the Finley Cadillac Performance Studio, your silver and black home to sound off for over 25 years. And now, here's JT the Brick.
Final hour of the week, obviously always brought to you by Modelo, the #1 beer in America and proud partner with the Raider Nation here in our show. Bucking the Modelo's on Friday to celebrate 2 hirings, Pete Carroll as head coach and John Spidek as the general manager of the Silver and Black. So that's where we're at today. We're taking phone calls. Dave Softy Mahler from KJR in Seattle at 1:30. He will be a hurricane. He will come in here like a hurricane. He knows Pete Carroll well. Covered his entire career, had him on a show many, many times, and that will be good. And we're hoping to meet and connect with Pete Carroll. And I don't know if he remembers, but I was the MC of Jim Brown, the greatest player of all time, 75th birthday in L.A., at the big L.A. theater. And Pete Carroll was one of the guests I introduced. And he came out and said something for Jim Brown, along with everybody there. And the stories, as Amber Theo Harris said yesterday, that I know are true of Pete Carroll walking in by himself to the roughest neighborhoods in Compton and in L.A. to recruit players. No security, no driver, Pete Carroll going in there to meet parents and kids and try to recruit. And he built a dominant, one of the greatest college teams of all time was during his tenureship at USC. He should have 2 Super Bowls. Everybody knows Marshawn Lynch should have got the ball at the goal line. Russell Wilson threw the interception to Malcolm Butler. Patriots win another Super Bowl. That would have been 2 for Pete. I don't know if Pete won 2 already. He'd probably stay retired maybe and be in the Hall of Fame. He should be. So he gets an opportunity. What I love about this move is I think he's going to want to end his career with a big legacy play. Like if you can win with the Raiders, where Madden and Flores won, Hall of Famers, and do that at the end of your career, that's a big deal. So come on in and welcome him. And today's a good day, as someone just said in our chat on YouTube. You know, mostly all Raider fans are united today. Mostly. It's a very divided fan base. It has been very divided over the last couple of years due to coaching. Even when you wanted AP desperately, you wanted him out. Not too long after you desperately wanted him. So I think everybody's going to understand that Pete Carroll's the type of guy, get behind him. Get with him, help him, do whatever you can to make that more of a home field advantage. Stop selling your tickets to opposing fans. Get behind Pete Carroll the way the 12th man did in Seattle. And I'll say it to anybody's face. Raider fans are better than Seahawk fans and better than most fans. The majority of them. But you got to get behind this team. So the Texans are going to do a full search now after Bobby Slowick was fired. It looks like Robert Saleh is in there with the Niners now as defensive coordinator. And Liam Cohn's statement is out. And he's going to be the head coach of Jacksonville, which is really interesting because he obviously has a connection to John Spidek, Liam Cohn. So I had some people blowing me up last night. Is spy tech coming? He's not leaving for Jacksonville. I said, calm down. Calm down. It'll all be figured out with or without us. It's all going to be figured out. Now we have the GM and the head coach locked up for the silver and black. Jalen Hurts practiced today, a full clear in practice, and it'll be interesting to see how he plays in this game because he hasn't been practicing much the last couple of weeks. From the concussion, he banged up his knee, and we know that Jaden Daniels is playing incredible. He's playing about as good a football as you can. So Pete Carroll's the lead story on ESPN and everywhere else. The lead story, Pete Carroll to the Raiders. How great of a day is that? Robert at Portland. Robert, thanks for waiting. Go ahead.
JT, and one thing I do know is, as a Bay Area boy, he remembers the Raiders when they were teams. He graduated from high school in '69, in Marin County, and was all city. But I respect one thing: his road record. Even though he started off slow on his road records first 3 years, you can ask Softy. He indeed had a winning record, 60, 53, and 1 on the road. Now, if the Raiders could just average that, can you imagine what they'd do?
Yeah, if the Raiders can play better on the road and get a better, sell out of fans at home and everything that's happening, it'd be great. Yeah, that's just what Pete Carroll's going to instill. And Tom Brady, too. And Tom Brady. They want this thing to be completely different, everybody. No one should be shocked by this. And I'm learning more about it, just like you are. I'm looking forward to meeting everybody. And I'll be in the building next week, and I'm looking forward to sitting down with these gentlemen and listening to their vision and anything I can do to help in the community on the radio to help the Raiders get to the next level. That's all I care about now. This is a fast-moving ship for Pete Carroll to now be the captain of. And it's got to be right. It's got to be fixed. No matter who the coach was. I kept telling you, no matter who the coach was, this was an urgent offseason. Very urgent in free agency in the draft. They have to be great. They can't be good. Doesn't matter who the coach is if you can't draft and you can't bring in free agents and re-sign your best players. There's a lot of work to be done there. Ian Rappaport, 3 hours ago, Russell Wilson wanted to go to the Raiders last offseason. It's Ian Rappaport. Russell Wilson wanted to go to the Raiders last season, ... Thoughts, Raider fans, on Russell Wilson? And that's Ian Rappaport here. So this is a classic move. I read the story before we came back at NFL.com by Ian Rappaport and everybody else involved with that crew at NFL Network. And very interesting what they're trying to do and what they're trying to do quickly here. 73 years old. This is at NFL.com. He'll return to the sidelines as a former senior advisor to the Seahawks. And Pete Carroll, the Raiders marked the 4th NFL franchise that Carroll will lead. His career record is 170, 120, and 1 regular season, 2 Super Bowl appearances, and he built USC into a power, into an absolute power. So his coaching style is what's going to be unique. He cares a lot about special teams and defense. And who will be that offensive coordinator? Raiders haven't won a division title or a postseason game since 2002. Vegas has just 2 playoff berths over that span. And you know what the record's been. 11 full-time coaches since that span of 2002. 11. So eventually you got to get it right, and this would be a nice one to get right. Tyler in Vegas on 920. Go ahead, Tyler. Appreciate it.
Hey, JT. No, appreciate you, man. I'm not going to lie to you, man. Before today, I was getting a little bit nervous, after the whole Spy Tech news that he might be going to Jacksonville. And just once Cohen turned down the job initially in Jacksonville, it was looking like maybe Pete Carroll was going to go there. But I'm really pleased with the hire. I feel like just by him getting in the door, we're 2 wins better. He's won everywhere that he's been, JT. And he's a great leader. He instills a great culture. And I really don't think he's ever had a player that's hated him. I've never heard a player talk bad about Pete Carroll. So it's a great day, man. And it's been a dark time for Raiders fans. And I'm just glad that there's a light at the end of the tunnel finally.
Yeah, I think you look at it that way. I mean, if you believe light at the end of the tunnel is the term you want to use, appreciate the call. I mean, I just think this is optimism on steroids. Optimism on steroids. the ability to be super positive, because the people behind the scenes here are really heavy positive people. So if you're going to be, I've learned that my whole career, stockbroker, radio, my whole career in radio is built on one thing, energy. That's it. It's what I have, energy. And when you're around these guys, you better have energy. And they're going to expect greatness. And the players are going to be, not that they weren't held accountable, they were. Tom Telesco and Antonio Pierce made everybody accountable. This is just different. This is a higher level of coaching. And that's not a disrespect to Josh McDaniels, Antonio Pierce. This is just high level coaching. What he knows about the game while it's in progress, what he knows about preparation, halftime adjustments. Pete's always been great at halftime adjustments. I was saying that on the air 20 years ago or 10 years ago. You go into halftime with Pete Carroll, you're going to come out a better football team. I love that. Opens up a line. We shouldn't have one. Should get you on here right now. Got about 45 minutes left. Dave Softy Mahler will join us at the bottom of the hour, 702-365-9200 if you want to get in. So all this news today, there's other news around the league. The most important thing, AFC Championship game, Bills at Chiefs Sunday, 3:30 Pacific time. But we're going to see what happens in this game. I'm all about Buffalo. How cool would our weekend be if Kyron, Pete Carroll, and the Chiefs losing? That'd be a hell of a Monday to come back to. I would love to come in Monday and have to deal with that. That could be pretty interesting. And then we'll have the traditional bye week for the Super Bowl. The bye week for the Super Bowl, and then head down to New Orleans, where the Raiders always have a pretty big presence on Radio Row. They're one of the only NFL teams that have a complete setup there for interviews, legends, Hall of Famers, not just Raiders, people who competed against the Raiders. So we're excited about that. Yes, go Bills. Let's go Buffalo. 702-365-9200. And no one's really called in and welcomed the GM. We tried to do that a little bit yesterday, but I think John Spytek needs to hear from Raider Nation today also on what he brings together with Tom Brady. And the caller just said, Tyler said he was nervous about Spytek leaving. I was telling you, my phone was blowing up last night, and I wasn't uncomfortable, but I was in a position where, wow, things are happening fast. That's the one thing I was telling people who I was sitting at dinner with last night. What's going on? You're on your phone. What's the matter? There's a lot going on with the Raiders, and it's going fast. I was right. My buddy's texting me today. I was right. It went really fast. By the time I woke up this morning, Pete Carroll was the head coach. And last night, he wasn't. So however they came to terms on this, and the Raiders will make a formal announcement. And the Raiders, if you follow the Raiders on all social media, you will see that they're going to be involved with the press conference. They're going to try to figure out what's going to happen. I don't know how the press conference is going to look, the exact time of it, or how they're going to do it. But I think the rest of the weekend for the NFL is about getting out of the way of the championship games. So you can announce the coaches and do all that. Everybody's eyeballs are actually on the game, and the games are going to be pretty fantastic. Jalen Hurts again today gets it clear, so he's going to be out there. And I was telling another guy about this. What's my ideal Super Bowl? I just said Buffalo. Ideal from here on out is Buffalo. Anything else doesn't work for me. I don't hate the Commanders. I don't despise them. I despise the Eagles. I want the Eagles to lose every game, and I want the Chiefs to lose every game. So if it's the Chiefs in Philadelphia, it is a nightmare scenario for me. Remember last year we had the Chiefs and the 49ers. That was a nightmare scenario for me. Remember we were sitting there, who do you want to win? Who do you want to win in our building? The Chiefs? No. The Niners? No. And the whole stadium was full of red because both the Niners and the Chiefs wear red. And we were seeing that last year. That can never happen again. And that's one of the real reasons I think Pete Carroll got hired, to compete at that level with Super Bowl winning coaches that are his peers. And they also look up to Pete. So an exciting time here. And hopefully it's easy for the Raiders sooner than later to track down the Chargers in Denver. And Kansas City is going to take a little bit longer. But the Raiders with Pete Carroll are going in the right direction. Raider Dave in Denver, listening on the Raiders mobile app. Hello.
Hey, how you doing? It's a great day, buddy. It is a great day. Not only that, but sitting on my back patio, enjoying a Modelo overlooking trees and snow on a 50-degree day here.
Wow.
It doesn't get much better than this. I'm very envious, though, you get to see the Eagles tonight. Saw them last year. It is a show not to miss, that's for sure. Hey, you asked about people tying in the GM, and I think the biggest focus about doing that would be to concentrate on the type of team that he put together in Tampa. This is a team that has the strength of a Madden team. Good defense, good defensive line play, really good running back and running game. That is the kind of stuff that you will all hope to see Buffalo utilize to keep Mahomes off the field. If they can go ahead and have 37 minutes of time of possession, that's going to make it very difficult for Kansas City to win any game. And that's pretty much the way the Raiders ended up taking it to them on December 25th, a year ago, and when they nearly won last season. So the combination of both these teams, and if you think about Carroll's type of team, yeah, he had a strong running back, strong running team, good lines, good defensive backfield, which I think is where the Raiders can really improve. But he's stepping into something that has a pretty darn good defensive line already. So I would certainly hope and think that and believe that the focus is going to be offensive line. And that's what Madden used to go ahead and harp on. That's why when the Raiders were great, they had Pro Bowl offensive linemen. With $100 million to go, there's going to be some great moves coming through here. And I think Saleh's the guy to do it. This is going to be a real good season. Now, we don't have a Daniels type of quarterback to come in here. But who knows what Pete Carroll really thinks about Aiden O'Connell? What did he do with Geno? Geno was a second-round pick, just like Aiden O'Connell was. So if Russ and him can see it on the same wavelength, at least we immediately get, a coach and a player that already know each other very well. And maybe it'll work out for a couple of years where they can groom somebody. I'm hoping for a quarterback, too, in round 2. But, man, I would love to see a veteran offensive right tackle and then the best player available at number 6.
Yep.
It's a happy day, brother.
Yeah, that's good, Dave. Enjoy the snow and the great weather out there outside of Denver. I want to see an improved offensive line. I like what he said at the end. A right tackle in free agency makes a lot of sense to me. It does. I want to see a right tackle that is proven. And DJ Glaze did a nice job. You can move him inside. He can play outside. We know what he can do. Jackson Powers-Johnson will be the center here. Andre James is under contract. Are they going to move him? What's going to happen with him? Could he move and play guard? Dylan Parham, who I think is an okay player, but I don't know what Pete Carroll and John Spytek think of him. And then Colton Miller is a very important piece on this team going forward. He hasn't been right, in my opinion, completely healthy. I'm not a doctor, but this is an important offseason for Colton Miller. He's a big, strong veteran, very good player in this league. Not a Pro Bowler, not an All-Pro, but very good. Right there on the cusp of being it. Maybe Pete Carroll can get something more out of him. The offensive line, as Dave said, you got to get a running back in here. You got to get a running back in here who's young, who's tough, hits the hole, runs at people, has the speed. Go get him. It's a heavy running back draft. You can get a running back here in the 3rd round who can start in this league. You might be able to get him in the 2nd round or trade into the 2nd round to get him. We got plenty of time to talk about. I mean, we're gonna celebrate today, as Bobby said. We're gonna enjoy today. I got about another 40 minutes to go of enjoying Pete Carroll and John Spytek before I get into what's going to happen with the quarterback position. You know where I stand on the quarterback. Have to get a quarterback early in the draft. Couldn't get Jaden Daniels and Caleb last year. I understand why. We'll go find the quarterback. If you want Cam Ward or Shador, and you can go up and get them, go get them. If they're not the right guy, and Pete and Tom Brady's going to pretty much be in charge, I would assume, of the quarterback. Him and Spytek are going to make sure they look at every possible opportunity. We had Jackson Dart. We were talking about him yesterday, other quarterbacks that are there. And then Aiden O'Connell, someone that can run practice and compete to be a starter here. And then you talk about Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers. Would Aaron Rodgers be a fit with Pete Carroll? I doubt it. It could happen, though. You think Pete Carroll at 73 wants to coach Aaron Rodgers? We don't know. Pete might say it's the best chance for us to win 10 games right now. Great draft, great free agency, Aaron Rodgers. Go bring in Aaron Rodgers and T. Higgins as the number 1 wide receiver. Jacoby Myers, Michael Mayer, Brock Bowers, Trey Tucker, Colt Miller, Jackson Powers-Johnson, DJ Glaze. There's a couple of holes still left on both sides of the ball, but it's not eviscerated. You hope to bring back Trayvon Merrick. You hope to bring back Robert Spillane. You want to have Malcolm Kuntz play as a Raider because he played really good before his injury. And I think the big part of this team going forward is Christian Wilkins. I mean, he just came and went. He was gone. I mean, I know he's around the building. He works out, likes to play pickup basketball, but that guy's got to have a Pro Bowl season. He is too important, very important to this organization because he got paid a ton of money by Tom Telesco to be a superstar. Man, they have a lot of money to work with and good draft equity. All right, don't let up on me. We got about another half hour to go. Softy Mahler is going to join us coming up here on the other side at the bottom of the hour. I got about 10 more minutes before him. 702-365-9200 is the number if you want to jump in here. And remember, Tequila Commissario is the Ferrari of tequila. It's fantastic. Wherever you're seeing it now, the bottle is gorgeous. It's popping up at every club, nightclub, bar, lounge here. Ask for it specifically. Tequila Commissario, proud partner of the Silver and Black. Golden Knights. Got a win, huh? Nice. Looked pretty good, too, from what I saw. Nice. Got some sound coming up from that, too, as we continue on from the flagship of the Silver and Black. Hey, don't miss Softy. Dave Softy Mahler's coming up. The guy is unreal on Pete Carroll. He'll set the tone coming up.
It's unnecessary roughness.
Love your show. You just cracked me up talking about.
All right, I'll keep the stream going so you can listen to this guy Softy. I don't want to hang up on 395 people.
All right. Since we got 5 minutes, why don't we do that? Brady cut from a couple days ago talking about being an owner.
Yeah.
I think for Monday.
Yep.
Radio Nation, what's your name? I'm sorry, what?
Bobby busting balls.
Yeah, I know. What's your name, man? Sin City Snipes.
Sin City.
I don't know anybody named Joe or Bill. What do you call them? Let's take a wild guess. Vegas? Yeah, no kidding. No. All right, kid. Hang on, I'll get you your phone now.
A handful of coaches that have now been head coaches on 4 different teams.
I might want to turn this Ganon around for you quickly. This Ganon bite's good.
Seahawks for 14 seasons, where he was 2 Super Bowls, and won one. Had a great run in the NFC.
Is that on X?
Yeah.
West. 9 years at USC.
Sirius XM NFL.
Had great success. Developed a lot of players.
Sirius XM NFL. Ganon.
He's a great coach. He's a hands-on coach. He's going to coach every position. He's got some background. You know, here's a guy that played quarterback and defensive back in high school, played at the University of Pacific, and got into coaching at a very young age. You know, he started coaching right out of college, and if you go back and look at his resume, in 1973, he went back to Pacific, where he graduated from, was a GA. Then went to Arkansas, Iowa State, Ohio State, NC State, where he met Monty Kiffin, Buffalo Bills, Minnesota. Hey everyone, it's Joey from Skyline in Town Square. A handful of coaches that now.
Yeah.
You want to play that?
Yeah, I'll throw it.
All right. Okay, I'm going to hold the Brady thing there.
Okay.
Josh Allen touchdown.
Oh.
One guy.
Yep. Okay. I went out with a decent amount of money last night and came home without a decent amount of money last night. So that must have been good.
How does that happen? I think you put anything on the card. That's probably all tips and stuff.
Yeah.
tomorrow off, and then I got Golden Knights Sunday.
Golden Knights Sunday. Okay.
They're playing Dallas tonight, but I'm off the game. They got Ganon on it.
Yeah.
I'll hold that Brady Cup for last. Come on, another half hour. We can do this.
Thanks, Jim. Hey, Tom. Sweet ride. Thanks, Marcy. Did Tom get a raise? Did he win the lottery? I just got a sweet loan. The one that had it right? Smart move, Tom. Thanks. Great terms. Low raise.
Yeah.
Easy approval process. All I needed to do was find a sweet ride. Get a sweet loan for a sweet ride at onenevada.org. Federally insured by NCUA.
The JT the Brick Show is brought to you by Remy Martin. Team up for excellence.
There's a snap. Handoff goes. No, it's an Allen keeper, and he's going to run it in. A 4-yard touchdown run on the read option keeper by Allen. 17 is a scoring machine.
Eagles tonight at Sphere. Excited to go to that show. Excited to have Pete Carroll and John Spytek, newest members of the Raider Nation. And great to talk to everyone today. Brought to you by Tito's Handmade Vodka, the tequila in America, gluten-free. Go to Tito's.com. Check out all their recipes. Tito's Handmade Vodka, proud partner of our show. In about 5 minutes, we'll have Dave Softy Mahler, who will join us, the great sports talk host. We go back to the 90s. Or late 90s. Yeah. He's had a big show, and the biggest show, clearly, in Seattle, and interviewed Pete Carroll 1,000 times, and we're going to hear from him coming up here. Let's go Buffalo, as we played the Bills highlight coming out of here. We got some sound from Rich Ganon that just dropped. This is from Sirius XM NFL Radio, former Raiders MVP quarterback Rich Ganon.
You have somebody who's got a wealth of experience. He's one of just a handful of coaches that have now been head coaches on 4 different teams. Pete got to start with the Jets, coached the Patriots, had an unbelievable run with the Seahawks for 14 seasons where he took them to 2 Super Bowls and won 1. Had a great run in the NFC West. 9 years at USC where he won a national championship and had great success and developed a lot of players. That's the one thing about Pete. He knows how to develop young talent. He's a great coach. He's a hands-on coach. He's going to coach every position. He's got some background. You know, here's a guy that played quarterback and defensive back in high school, played at the University of Pacific, and got into coaching at a very young age. You know, he started coaching right out of college. And if you go back and look at his resume, in 1973, he went back to Pacific where he graduated from. It was a GA. Then went to Arkansas and Iowa State, Ohio State, NC State, where he met Monty Kiffin, and Buffalo Bills, Minnesota Vikings as defensive back coach, and became a defensive coordinator with the Jets, eventually the head coach. Then went out to San Francisco and was a part of a Super Bowl team out there with the 49ers and New England Patriots. I mean, he's been around, and he's going to put together a good staff. I think that's really important. I think we're going to get some stability inside that Raider organization, which is really important. There's some good players there. I think they're in a position now with the salary cap where they have some flexibility. You look at the roster, just last year, 4 starters on offense that are rookies from last year. A couple offensive linemen. The tight end Brock Bowers was sensational. Some good young players on the defensive side of the ball. So I think there's a pretty good nucleus to start with. But as I said before, you got to get the quarterback situation right. And, I think Aiden O'Connell will be back in a Raider uniform. I think he's got some potential, but I think you have to create some real competition.
So that's Rich Ganon, who always preaches competition. The Raiders mourn Calvin Jones, who passed away. Raiders just put out a statement. The Raider family mourns the loss of Calvin Jones, who played for the Silver and Black from 1994 through 95, a standout collegiate running back at Nebraska. Jones posted back-to-back 1,000-yard rushing seasons for the Huskers and was drafted by the Raiders in the 3rd round in 1994. He played in 15 games over 2 seasons with the Raiders before finishing his NFL career with Green Bay. The prayers of the Raider Nation are with Calvin's family at this time. Calvin Jones, may he rest in peace. So we'll get a lot more into John Spytek and Pete Carroll next week. when we're in the building and we find out what the Raiders' schedule is going to look like there overall. Real busy day today. And as we continue on here, and we're looking for another guest coming up here, and Dave Softy Mahler. Bobby's going to get him up here in a minute. We want to kind of get after the coaching hire and the GM is introduced. That's always a big day. So whenever they have the press conference, we'll be there for that. We'll cover it live here on the flagship of the Raiders, and we'll do shows all around it. We'll be in the building. And then it's going to be on to the work of putting this roster together and getting Pete Carroll and everybody up to speed with the players that they already have, and try to find out and how to recruit other players that can come in and have a really big impact. And you have Spy Tech, who's supposed to be really sharp and works well with Tom Brady. That's the quarterback. And then Pete Carroll, who's got to figure out which players play his style of football. Which players does he like? The energy, the tape, how they look, their attitude, their careers. Do they have a lot of upside? Do they have a ceiling at all? And Pete's going to be able to do that pretty quickly because he's a great evaluator. And as Rich Gannon just said, Gannon talked about him being a guy who develops players. And I think that's something that has to be a part of this. Dave Softy Mahler from KJR in Seattle, one of the best sports talk hosts out there. And we were reaching out to each other today because we got your guy, Pete Carroll, here in Vegas. What should we expect, Softy?
A lot of excitement, totally different culture, tons of energy, no question, just a complete re-energized from top to bottom franchise, man. I mean, I was on with my guys in Chicago about a week and a half ago when the rumor was that Pete Carroll may end up being the Bears coach, and I was pleading with them to hire Pete Carroll in Chicago. I would just say this, and I don't mean to be prone to hyperbole today, but on this day, the day the Raiders hired Pete Carroll, you know what I think, JT? I think the freaking Raiders are back, is what I think, after making this hire. They're back, baby.
What did you like being around him? Take our listeners behind the scenes on game day. We see him throwing the ball around with the gloves and rah-rah in the locker room, but what is he like during the week in practice, preparing a team, first guy in, last one out? What type of guy is he overall?
I think Pete Carroll is the exact same guy when he sleeps as opposed to when he wakes up. He's the exact same guy in the shower. He's the exact same guy in the film room. He's the exact same guy on the sideline. He's the exact same guy when he's having dinner, when he's having breakfast, when he's on the can. He is always, always on. I mean, the energy of this guy is unbelievable. I mean, JT, he's going to be 74 years old in September. I'm 52 this August, and I feel like the old man's got triple the amount of energy that I have. I don't get it. It's like some Benjamin Button thing going on with this dude, man, in reverse. It's just unbelievable. I don't know how much coffee he drinks, how much Red Bull he ingests every single day, how many energy drinks he consumes, but the energy of this man is going to infect everybody in that Raider franchise, and it's the culture, right? That's what most of these franchises need, is a culture shift. You know, somebody to come in and set the tone for the entire franchise, to totally change the way you think about doing things. I mean, yes, the players will come, the schemes will come, the quarterback will come, blah, blah, blah. All of that's going to happen. But what the Raiders need, and what a bunch of these franchises that are kind of lost in some ways need, is someone to completely reset the entire culture. And Pete Carroll's going to fire everybody up every day on that campus, man. People will be dying to work for this guy. He's going to bring in a bunch of ex-Seahawks. He's going to bring in a bunch of ex-Seahawk players to be on his coaching staff. He's going to bring a bunch of folks from the organization to work in his front office. It's going to be unbelievable how many people Pete Carroll will attract like freaking moths to a flame to come down there and be a part of this Raider organization. And I got to be honest with you, as a Seahawks fan who's been watching the Hawks since the old AFC West days, I'm supposed to hate the Raiders, man. Hate the Raiders, hate the Broncos, hate Kansas City. I'm actually kind of fired up for this because I think this is a great thing for the NFL, and it's a great thing for the Raiders to have Pete Carroll back in the league.
Softy's our guest. You're critical at times, like I am on the air, when a coach doesn't call a timeout or doesn't challenge or makes a mistake. I talked about Pete being great at halftime adjustments throughout my career, watching him nationally and seeing how he was an in-game coach. What did you like about him in-game? Because he always seemed to make great adjustments and have the team better in the second half.
Yeah, his defense as the years went on usually got better, right? I mean, that was kind of his calling card, that maybe they would spend a little bit of time in the first month of the year, first 6-7 weeks, kind of tinkering, figuring things out.
And then, boom, the defense would absolutely take off and carry the day in the second half of the season. So that, I think, was his biggest trait. Look, in the end, what happened in Seattle, the guy was here for 14 years, right? It was just time for a new voice and a change and a different scenery for him. I think anytime you're in a place for that long with the same people, sometimes the message can get lost. And I think Pete Carroll resetting for himself and going to a brand new organization where maybe they haven't heard the message, maybe they won't roll their eyes the way some people were doing here in Seattle. I think it's a great fit for him and a great fit for the organization. But the number one thing you should expect is for his defenses to get better as the years go by. As the games go by, you're going to see a great defense in the second half of the year every single season, man.
What was his relationship like with Russell Wilson behind the scenes? What did you learn about it over the years?
Well, Russell Wilson tried to get him fired. We all know that. I think Russell Wilson kind of lost his way, to be honest with you, and let his ego get the best of him, to be totally honest with you. And now you're kind of seeing a lot of people around the country figure that out. A lot of things that we said about Russell Wilson, we were mocked in Seattle. Oh, you're just jilted. Oh, you're just angry. You're just pissed off because Russell Wilson took off and went to Denver. And then guess what? It took about 5 minutes. And the people in Denver were saying the same thing about Russell that we were saying up here in Seattle. And now the people in Pittsburgh are saying the same stuff that people in Denver were saying about him. So Russell needed to be knocked down a couple of pegs. He was getting a little bit too big for his britches. And I think going out of his way to think he's bigger than Pete John and trying to get Pete Carroll fired was obviously ridiculous. And I think the problem, though, with Russell Wilson is he's not the guy he was 10 years ago. He's not a 28-year-old anymore. He doesn't move the way he did when he was 27, 28 years old. So I think he's got to find a way to kind of reset mentally a little bit, maybe shelve the ego. But Pete Carroll, JT, let me tell you something, man. Even though Russell tried to get Pete Carroll fired, Pete Carroll is unbelievable at keeping relationships alive. He does not like to burn bridges with anybody. I mean, Richard Sherman trashing him, Russell Wilson trashing him. He would never reciprocate. He would never, ever take the podium, go on TV, go on radio, and trash somebody because he always knew there was a chance he was going to need that person back in his corner one day. He has constantly taken the high road, at least in public. So that's why when I see these stories about Russell Wilson reuniting with Pete Carroll, to me, they don't sound so crazy because Pete Carroll's the kind of guy that would forgive and forget and welcome Russell Wilson back with open arms if he felt like he could help the Raiders, which I think compared to what you have on the roster now, he might be able to.
Dave Softy Mahler, as we wrap it up. What was it like with the media? What was availability like for you? Fantastic?
Phenomenal. Yeah, unreal. Phenomenal with the media. Just always engaging. Great guy. Look, I mean, he's not stupid. He knows that there's people in the media that can help him as well, right? But he was always great. Never had a person, I think, in the press say a bad word about him, never talked down to people, never treated people poorly. Even during the worst of times, he was always there to speak and always there to go on the record and always there to be accountable. You're not going to hear about Pete Carroll ducking the media or passing the buck or passing the blame to somebody else. So, no, he's going to be phenomenal with the press. The fans are going to love him. As energetic as he already is, I can imagine him even being more energized now with this situation because he knows this is probably his last hurrah, right? I mean, it's got to be. He'll be 74 years old. He's the oldest coach in the history of the NFL for crying out loud. He's got a son up in Seattle coaching Jed Fish's offensive line and Brennan Carroll, who was with him as his run game coordinator in 2020. I would expect there's a chance he might bring him with him down there to Arizona. KJ Wright is on the Niners staff. I would think there's a chance that KJ ends up on his staff in Seattle. And then the minute a guy like a Bobby Wagner retires, hell, if the Commanders win the Super Bowl or win on Sunday and Bobby Wagner calls it quits, don't be surprised if Bobby Wagner finds a way, somehow, some way. And another name I'll throw at you, because I do think the guy wants to coach down the road. Don't be surprised if Richard Sherman ends up having some kind of role with the Raiders, man. Not sure what it would look like, but don't be surprised if he leaves Amazon and he's wearing silver and black next year.
You're the best. I'll talk to you later today. Appreciate you making time for me.
Bud, you bet. See ya.
You got it. Take care. Dave Softy Mahler, KJR. I'll be on his show today at 3:30. So I get a little break after this. I'm going to go on his show, and he came on here. Look at the energy Softy has, man. He's big Pete Carroll guy. Big Pete Carroll guy. So we'll be talking to him a lot more about this and how the Raiders are going to look. Now, remember the Legion of Boom team. and how great they were when Marshawn Lynch and Earl Thomas and Richard Sherman, Cam Chancellor, man, did they hit. Those safeties and corners, they were as tough as any unit in the history of the league. I'm talking history of the league, including the Soul Patrol of the Raiders, right? And the great Tatum and Atkinson, Skip Thomas, the great corners that they had, Willie Brown. I mean, Seattle was no joke with Pete Carroll. They were physical. They were tough. They had a swagger to them. That's the first time I used that word the whole show today, swagger. I think that's what's got to change with the Raiders. They have to have more of a swagger. And they had a pretty good one with Antonio Pierce. He had swag. I mean, he drove up there with swag. And he tried hard to win, and he got bit by the injury bug badly. We need the Raiders to come off the injuries and be good this year, especially Christian Wilkins. If Nate Hobbs comes back, Trayvon Merrick, and especially Robert Spillane. There's got to be 5 or 6 guys that we know going into training camp are locks to be on this team again. And then you fill in the rest with the draft and free agency. But normally I'm not a guy saying spend a ton of money in free agency. I am now. Because this guy, John Spytek's been known to spend money when he has it to get really good players. Ray in Vegas on 920. What's happening, Ray?
JT, I'm ecstatic about this hire.
Good.
14 years, the last 14 years in Seattle, Pete Carroll was 147, 98, and 1. What have we been the last 14 years? This dude is a grown-up, man. He brings players, whoever he gets, they're going to be happy to be in a Raider uniform, or he's going to get rid of them. I seen him at SC do it. Brown immediately. If you don't want to be in that, not ready to compete, he's going to get rid of you. And he don't care about where you was picked in the draft, how cool you are with the owner. Listen, if you're not coming there to ball out, he's going to get you up out of there. And I seen him do it. He got Flynn out of Seattle so fast. Once he saw Russell Wilson could play, he was a rookie. It didn't matter. He's going to put the best players on the field. And that's what we need. Enough of that politics. Get people that's happy to be in silver and black. Throw them out there on the field. All these teams, all this defenses, they run to the ball. They're aggressive. They're honorary. We need – but I don't want to get Russell Wilson, though. I say get Justin Fields.
Yeah, Justin Fields is going to be an option. Excellent phone call. Thanks a lot, brother, for calling in. Appreciate you there. I think that whoever they get at quarterback, they're going to have multiple options. I think they're going to draft one and bring in a free agent and have Aiden O'Connell. They're going to have a much better quarterback room than they had last year, with all due respect to Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell and Carter Bradley. That room needs to get a lot better, and Pete Carroll's going to demand it, and so is Tom Brady. What I'm fascinated with, this is, just finished my 27th season with the team. And to come in and see a guy like Pete Carroll, I never would have dreamed of this. Never would have dreamed of a potential Hall of Fame coach. And I think he's a Hall of Famer. I said that long before he was interested in the Raiders. I think him coming in at this stage in his life is just going to make for fun times, energy, excitement, and it should lift up everyone because it's not divisive. If the Raiders would have hired Ben Johnson, really good hire, excellent hire, I think there'd be Raider fans going, oh, same old story, young coordinator. What happens if it doesn't work? Oh, I'm so sick of that. Just let these guys coach. Let them coach. Give them your support. A guy like Pete Carroll, you don't want to be the guy at the bar at the tailgate going, I'm not behind Pete Carroll. And you claim to be a Raider fan? You're not going to get behind Pete Carroll? The guy's a winner. We're fortunate to have him. And it really took some work. But it looks like Tom Brady, along with Mark Davis and the work they're doing, this is Mark's team, and Mark's in charge, were able to put together something special in the last 24 hours. I mean, this thing was looking, I'm not saying dicey. It was just looking strange in a minute. I was there last night going, whoa, wait a second. What's going on in Jacksonville? How does that affect our GM? Is our GM locked up? Are we good? Are we good? Yeah, we got that. Then Pete Carroll and John Spytek. Fantastic. That to me is a best case scenario. Best case scenario. And we haven't had that for quite some time. We have interim coaches who became head coaches that we supported. We had a legendary coach in John Gruden. The email controversy blew that up. And now we get an opportunity, and thank Antonio which we've done a lot of that, and I'm still going to do it. I haven't seen Coach Pierce since he's left, but I want to thank him for what he's done for us. And Tom Telesco, gentleman class act. Now we got a new group of people coming in here to try to take it up and do what the others were not able to do. Not that they didn't try, they just weren't able to do. 702-365-9200. Last call to get in before I get out of here. And I think today, Bobby, after the hiring of the new coach, I'm going to get Raising Cane's. Chicken fingers, One Love, the buttery Texas toast, the hand-battered chicken fingers. They're amazing. The sauce, which they make in all of their stores daily. The lemonade, the iced tea. It's all right there for you. Get the box combo. Raising Cane's chicken fingers. One Love and proud partner of our show. Wow, that was good. Hour and 45 minutes. How about that? Good calls, good tweets, good texts, good chat. Everybody have a good weekend. I'm going to go to the Eagles tonight. Have a good weekend. Watch the games. Go Buffalo. Beat Kansas City, man. Beat Kansas City. I don't care what happens on the NFC side. I'd like to see the Eagles lose, but we need Buffalo. So Raider Nation, get behind the Bills. Let's go Buffalo.